Hello again, everyone. This is Bob from How to Do Stand-Up Comedy. Today we're going to talk about Jerry Seinfeld and his version of stand-up comedy. I should point out that I've been a comedy enthusiast for all of my adult life. I've observed so many different types of comics that I feel like I'm an expert in sensing a comedian who's constantly humorous. From the early days of comedy, for example Jack Benny, to present-day headliners, no one has reached the comedic level of Jerry Seinfeld, bar none. By practically any measurement, he is the most successful comedian who ever lived. The Seinfeld stand-up comedy tale is a fascinating one. Jerome Allen Seinfeld was born in April 1954 in Brooklyn. His dad was of Galician Jewish background and owned a sign-making organization. His mother, Betty, is of Syrian Jewish ancestry. Seinfeld formulated a serious interest in stand-up comedy in his college days, although he was regarded as a class clown virtually all the way through school. After graduating from Queens College, he discovered himself at an open mic night at New York City's Catch a Rising Star. Luckily for Jerry, he was noticed by the reigning king of humor at the time, Mr. Rodney Dangerfield, who, by the way, is another favorite comic of mine. Rodney had Jerry perform in one of his HBO programs, which began his excursion to eventual stardom. In 1979, he had a really small recurring part on the Benson sitcom as Frankie, a post office delivery boy who had enough comedy gags, but that nobody really wanted to hear. Strangely enough, he was fired from the show because of creative differences. It's hard to imagine these days that anyone would fire Seinfeld from a television show, but it did actually happen. And it was not handled very well. Nobody bothered to tell Jerry that he'd been dismissed until he turned up for an episode read-through session and discovered there was no script for him. Of course, Jerry was able to get over this setback and went on in 1981 to a highly successful appearance on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. His act had really impressed Carson, which led to normal Tonight Show performances over the following several years. By the end of the decade, he and his pal, Larry David, began development on a groundbreaking show known as the Seinfeld Chronicles. Eventually, the name would change to the name that we all recognize these days, simply Seinfeld. They did this to avoid confusion with a short-lived teen sitcom called The Marshall Chronicles. By its fourth season, Seinfeld had become the most popular and successful show on American television. The Seinfeld stand-up comedy machine had truly found its mark. The final episode aired in 1998, and the show has been preserved with syndicated reruns ever since. Jerry's post-sitcom career has continued to thrive, with regular appearances in Las Vegas and in big comedy locations throughout the country. His emphasis has been live stand-up comedy, as opposed to venturing into movies, as many of his contemporaries have done. Tim Allen and Ray Romano, for instance. 2010 has witnessed another landmark in the saga of Jerry Seinfeld. He's launched a new TV series, which will also prove to be breaking new ground. Jerry is the master of pushing the humor envelope, and his most recent TV work is yet another example. It's called The Marriage Ref. It stars Tom Papa, Natalie Morales, and of course Jerry himself. The premise consists of real-life couples currently involved in a clash, and aren't we all? There is a three-person panel made up of numerous celebrities who are shown both sides of the story. These celebs then talk about the merits of each individual and vote on their choice of the winner. The preliminary reviews of the show were almost universally negative, with many bordering on nasty. Nonetheless, The Marriage Ref was renewed by NBC for another year. It's going to be interesting to see if Jerry can work his magic on this show. And I suppose I wouldn't bet against him. After all, Seinfeld was a sluggish starter in his first year too, but was able to evolve into a ratings powerhouse in the ensuing years. If you ask me, if anybody can turn around a ratings disaster, it would be Jerry Seinfeld. Well, that's it for now. This is Jim from How to Do Stand-Up Comedy, and I invite you to our website. You can click the link below this video that will lead you to literally hundreds of other videos and articles, etc., on various topics having to do with comedy. In addition, on this page somewhere, there is another link that will take you to a specific post dealing with Jerry Seinfeld. Well, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and have a good day.